All right, and let me kick us off. My name's Ed Shikata, Palo Alto City Manager. I'd like to welcome you to our latest Uplift Local community check-in. This is a recording, or we will be recording this. We're live at the moment, but depending on when you're watching, you may be watching a recording for Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. So we'll go ahead and do a recording of this presentation that provides updates on a variety of topics. And then we will invite any community members to join us. We'll turn off the recording, and then we'll go to open discussion. But this recording will be available for anyone who has a few minutes to get an update on what's happening in Palo Alto on this date. All right, so let's go to our next slide, please. Okay, so just a quick snapshot on the agenda. Again, welcome everyone to this session, and we'll be talking about the current status of state restrictions and other COVID-19 updates on what's happening in terms of business access and availability of community services. We'll talk about Uplift Local more broadly, as well as an update on upcoming construction adjacent to California Avenue related to our public safety building. And then we've also got updates on what's happening with parking, both in the Cal Ave area, downtown, beyond. And then we'll open it up to questions. So with that, let's go ahead and hit our next slide. All right, again, just in terms of our format this evening, as I noted, we'll be recording, and then as people arrive, we'll just proceed through our presentation. Then when we're done with the presentation, we'll open it up for discussion, and we'll invite members of the community come in and just have an ongoing conversation. Next slide, please. All right, so this being March 16th, do want to acknowledge the significant date in Santa Clara County history. It was on March 16, 2020, 1 year ago today, that the Santa Clara County Health Officer, a public health officer, as well as health officers around the Bay Area, announced the implementation of a shelter-in-place order. And as we all know, life changed. It had been changing prior to that, but that was certainly where it came home. And since that date, we have been living with this pandemic, and some statistics to date with over 112,000 cases here in Santa Clara County, more than 1,800 deaths from COVID-19 within our county. More than 3 million tests have been conducted, and thankfully the ramp up that occurred after the severe pandemic hit here locally. And at this point now, good news, over 370,000 vaccines that have now been administered here within Santa Clara County, primarily individuals over 65, as well as essential workers, and a variety of key sectors. Now, let's see, in addition, would note that our county is currently in the state's red tier and is thankfully in hopefully the right trajectory as we are continuing to monitor conditions while also practicing and reinforcing safe practices throughout our community. So with that, we hope that we'll be moving into the orange tier within the next week or two. Next slide, please. All right, just a little more information about vaccines. We do know that the county, Santa Clara County's website, sccfreevax.org, continues to be a wonderful one-stop site for information, both in terms of getting access to vaccines as well as statistics, including geographic breakdowns and demographic breakdowns on the rollout of vaccines. They do continue to be limited, but the supply is also continuing to increase. And so information there is available, as well as opportunities to sign up to be contacted by your own healthcare providers in order to ensure that you're able to set appointments as quickly as possible, in addition to taking advantage of both the county's vaccination sites as well as through additional mass vaccination providers directly through the federal government. So let's see, as of Friday, the state did expand eligibility to people with significant high risk medical conditions. So once again, important, should you or other loved ones be eligible under these additional categories that have been opened up, to go ahead and check in there and see what additional opportunities might be available. And then finally, just do want to continue to reinforce the importance of testing. Here in Palo Alto, we do have additional testing available this week on Wednesday. That will be tomorrow on the 17th at Mitchell Park parking lot, and that's via Curative at curative.com, curative.com, as well as on Friday with the county's site at Mitchell Park Community Center. Next slide, please. And then just want to note that federal aid package that hopefully many have heard about will help us. And so as a part of the $1.9 trillion COVID-19, I think it's called the American Relief Act, or ARP, relief program, funds that locally, there are roughly $12 million allocated to the city of Palo Alto that will assist with some of the costs and fiscal effects that we know our community has experienced over this past year. And we will be working with the city council through our upcoming budget process in order to identify the best areas through which those funds should be used. And we're also tracking, and we'll provide information to community members as we get it in areas that, whether it's the city, community partners, or businesses may be eligible for specific programs that are coming up through that federal aid. Next slide, please. All right, let's see. I believe, is this one I'm handing off to Kara?
Yes.
I believe so. All right, go ahead, Kara. Thank you.
Good evening, Kara Apple with the City Manager's Office. I'm going to cover some of the red tier restrictions, or lack of restrictions, however you want to look at it. With the red tier, indoor dining is allowable at 25% capacity or 100%, whichever is fewer. Museums, zoos, aquariums are also open with limited capacity at 25%. Our Palo Alto Arts Center has reopened as of Saturday, March 6th. And as noted, the hours of operation are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. Gyms, dance, yoga studios are also able to open at 10% indoor capacity, as well as continue outdoors as well. And then retail stores and malls are now at 50% capacity. As we move towards the orange tier, all of these capacity limitations will further ease. With regard to the public health orders, Santa Clara County has lifted many of our local orders and is now really pointing to the state's tier system for guidance for all business sectors. And one of the directives that were lifted is the travel ban. It's still recommended that you follow the state's travel advisory, and you can go to covid19.ca.gov for more details there. And lastly, just as a reminder, face coverings are highly, highly recommended for members of the public and workers in all public and workplace settings when there's a risk of high exposure. And in fact, double masking is recommended as well. Those are the main updates on the red tier as of now. And as the city manager said, we are trending with lower case rates, and hopefully we'll be in the next tier soon. And at this time, I'll hand off to Rachel.
Kara. So Rachel Tanner, I'm the Assistant Director of Planning and Development Services here at the City of Palo Alto. I just want to give you a few updates about our Uplift Local program, which continues. We still have 2 Uplift Local streets, California Avenue and portions of University Avenue. Those portions are closed to vehicular traffic and available for outdoor dining, for walking, for biking, for enjoying a bit of community at a distance, of course, and in compliance with all the rules. Please do wear your mask when you visit our Uplift Local streets. Outdoor dining is something that you can enjoy there. Also, some of our retailers on Cal Ave have put out their merchandise as well onto the street. And staff will be returning to City Council on April 19th to discuss the parklet program as well as the street closures that are there, to get council's direction on whether or not the street closures should continue, kind of in what configuration until when, and also to consider the parklet program, which has provided some space for outdoor dining during the pandemic. We also have new public art murals on both of our Uplift Local streets. So if you are into public art, I really encourage you to get out and take a look at our temporary murals pilot project. They are providing emotional support. They also help to support the economic well-being of our business districts by encouraging people to get out and, again, do something that you can do safely at a distance. And they're really quite cool. Some of them have interactive components that you can interact with your phone and the internet. So it's really quite a treat. And maybe you can see if you can find all 8 murals in the city of Palo Alto that have been created by local artists. And we're so happy to collaborate with our public art program to bring these murals to the city. We also want to highlight a program called Restaurant Rescue. You can visit restaurantrescue.org to find out more, but it's a local grassroots effort here in Palo Alto to encourage Palo Altans and those in East Palo Alto to patronize local restaurants, even just by getting takeout. If you don't want to dine outdoors, we encourage you to patronize our local businesses, including restaurants. And if you want to know more, go to restaurantrescue.org and see how you can be part of this effort to support our local businesses. So I'm going to pass it on to Brad, our Director of Public Works.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm Brad Eggleston, Director of Public Works. Our new public safety building is related to the Uplift Local Cal Ave closure because it's going to be built very close by on parking lot C6. And that's the surface lot that's right across Birch Street from the new Cal Ave parking garage that was just completed. The contractor will actually start mobilizing to the site later this week. Very recently, a mailer was sent out to nearby residents and businesses about the project. There's also signage at the site with contact information for the contractor and city staff. As listed on the slide, probably the best way to stay up to date about the construction progress and what's going on is to sign up to get email updates at this website, www.cityofpaloalto.org. PSB for public safety building. And the initial work that's going to be happening involves relocation of electrical infrastructure, some reconfiguration of the county courthouse parking lot so that the contractor can use part of it during the project, and setting up the construction trailers for the project. And what you'll note if you're out there is that Sherman Avenue next to lot C6 and also lot C6 itself, where the PSB will ultimately be built, are expected to be closed later this month. So the good news is that with the new Cal Ave parking garage in place, there should be plenty of parking out there, even as restrictions are eased and reopening continues and we see more visitors to the area. And I think the next slide is for Philip.
Thank you, Director Eggleston. I'm Philip Kami, Chief Transportation Official from the Office of Transportation, and I'm here to catch you up on parking activities. We are currently not conducting parking enforcement, yet we are targeting a restart of parking enforcement for on-street in May. And also, in order to allow for retail businesses that have had challenges with operations under COVID, we're targeting initiating enforcement in the garages and lots when we reach a COVID phase of clear or green. I guess we're not exactly sure what that might be called at this point. Whatever phase follows yellow. So we continue to allow free parking at this time in all of our commercial zones. With that, I'll hand it back to our Chief Communications Officer.
Thank you, Philip. Wanted to just close this evening by inviting everyone to a new event series coming up, Wellness Wednesdays. New monthly series starts tomorrow, actually, March 17th. All of the monthly events will begin at 5 o'clock. And tomorrow's event, we are joined by Palo Alto Police Chief Johnson for an introduction to mindfulness for adults. If you're interested in this event, registering for this event and or getting a sense for the other topics that are planned throughout the rest of the calendar year, you can get more details at www.cityofpaloalto.org/bewell. I also wanted to just provide a reminder about our next meetings that are planned. They all start at 5:30. These are monthly check-ins that provide an opportunity on a variety of topics to stay informed and also to be engaged with city staff and ask questions. Our next meeting coming up will be April 20th, and then following that, May 18th and June 15th. We also have an online survey that continues to be open to gain community input. So I just wanted to highlight that as well. You can go to bit.ly/Uplift Local survey for more details. And you can also send us an email at any time with any questions or comments that you might have, either about the Uplift Local program or other questions, other service related items at citymgr@cityofpaloalto.org. And so I think that's it for our presentation today. I'm going to stop sharing. And I think, Ed, we're moving forward with stop recording also.